While the West debates itself into decline, the East is redrawing the map, and they're not asking for permission. At the latest China-EU summit, one thing became painfully clear: Europe has no leverage left. The meeting ended early, no meaningful deals, no real progress, just a vague statement on climate change, while the real elephant, trade, remained untouched. Europe is caught in a trap of its own making. It cut off cheap Russian energy after the Ukraine invasion. Meanwhile, China stepped in. Not only is Beijing buying Russian oil and gas at 20 to 30% below market price, it's locking in long-term control. Starting in 2027, Russia will pipe 10 billion cubic meters of gas to China from Sakhalin. That's on top of the 40 billion already flowing through the Power of Siberia pipeline. This gives China an unbeatable edge: cheap energy, discounted resources, and direct access to Eurasian markets. Europe, on the other hand, it's bleeding competitiveness. Germany's industrial base is faltering, manufacturing costs are soaring, and China isn't offering help, it's exploiting the gap. Chinese dominance is everywhere. Europe's trade deficit with China is exploding, nearly $400 billion at its peak, and over $170 billion in just the first half of 2025. European leaders blame China's subsidies and call for balance, but those words mean nothing. Should China import overpriced European goods just to be nice? Of course not. Trade isn't charity. Even the optics of the summit told the story. The entire EU delegation was packed into a single minibus. No red carpet, no honor guards. Compare that to the red carpet diplomacy China rolls out for leaders from the global south. The message to Europe: you're no longer a priority. And while Ursula von der Leyen demanded action, China made its moves elsewhere. Beijing is now pouring billions into Hungary, an EU member still friendly with Russia and still running on cheap Russian energy. Hungary offers China a backdoor into Europe: low-cost production, EU market access, and no lectures about human rights. It's the perfect hub. Meanwhile, in the US, the damage is also piling up, especially on American farms. The trade war with China has crushed small agriculture. China now sources soybeans and pork from BRICS partners like Brazil. US exports are shrinking. Bankruptcy filings for small farms hit 173 in the first half of 2025, twice the level from 2 years ago. Washington's answer: subsidies. Over $20 billion a year just to keep farms afloat. But even that isn't enough. Input costs are rising, equipment is more expensive, and China isn't coming back. The bigger crisis: currency. Trump wants to weaken the dollar to make US goods more competitive. But that strategy backfires when your economy depends on imports. Over half of US imports are components, steel, parts, chips, needed for domestic manufacturing. A weaker dollar makes them all more expensive. To make exports attractive again, the dollar would need to drop by 20 to 30%. That would spike inflation, wreck purchasing power, and trigger a new wave of price shocks. And the world is watching. Central banks across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East are dumping US treasuries and stockpiling gold. They're not waiting for Washington to fix itself. They're building Plan B. Meanwhile, China is offering something the West can't: stability. It signs long-term deals, builds roads and ports, provides raw materials, and doesn't ask questions. That's why BRICS is gaining ground. That's why countries are turning east. And that's why Europe and the US are losing influence, fast. This isn't just a trade story. It's a power shift. While Washington argues about tariffs, and Brussels argues about values, Beijing is building the next global order, piece by piece. The future isn't being negotiated in summits. It's being constructed in silence. This is True State Report. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.